The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Wasn't that long ago that JT Miller was considered lazy, not a good defensive player. All of a sudden, this guy's in the Selke conversation? Are you kidding me? More about that next here on Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. It's your team. No, scratch that. Your Canucks every day. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks, and also a part-time credentialed media member for Daily Hive Vancouver. I gotta let you know, today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Coming up on today's episode of Locked On Canucks, we got to dive into JT Miller being suddenly elite at playing defensive hockey. Are you kidding me, man? This is a sign that everything's going right for the Vancouver Canucks. But is he actually good at playing defense? We're going to dive into that in the next few minutes. Also going to touch on Conor Garland, who apparently doesn't want to leave anymore. How about that? How about that, Kyle? And before I introduce my co-host, I'll let you know that we got the Cam Neely Former Canuck of the Week coming up in the final segment of the show. But let me introduce my co-host, someone who will never be a former fan of the Vancouver Canucks because we bleed that blue and green. Or is it that black, red, and yellow? I don't know. But anyways, Kyle Bhawan, how you doing, brother?
Dude, it's going to happen. The skate jersey is going to come back, and it's going to stay here full time. It's just going to happen. Anyways, my name's Kyle Bhawan. That's Trevor Beggs. Again, more importantly, though, this is the show that gives you your Canucks every day. JT Miller, man, he's inspiring me, okay? He's 30 years old. You and I are 30 years old. Bro, don't hit a plateau in your life, Beggsy. Whatever you're doing in your life, you don't tell me all the details about your careers and whatnot. Just know, deep down inside, you have another gear to you. Maybe you don't have a friend like Rick Tocchet to get you there, but there's more that you're leaving off the table. I'm being honest with you, Trevor. I have a lot of expectations for you, and I believe your potential is maybe higher than you think it is. I got a question, okay? What do you think Tocchet told Miller last year? Because this is a Tocchet-Miller thing, or it's JT Miller being accountable and wanting to live up to being the highest paid Canuck, you know?
Yeah, I think Tocchet probably just instilled some confidence in JT Miller. And you think about it too, Kyle. You know, Bruce Boudreau getting the feel-good coach, you know, maybe like tickles your spine, you know, gives you a pat on the shoulder, a kiss on the cheek, whatever it is. But he was never the guy who was, you know, maybe an elite defensive forward at the NHL level. Tocchet was a good player at both ends of the ice when he played in the NHL. Obviously, the guy was a tough mofo, put up some goals, but also knew how to play hockey defensively. And I think having a guy like that as your coach just in itself instilled some confidence in JT Miller. And we kind of saw it last season, right? Again, I think you and I and most fans of this market didn't want to get caught up in, oh yeah, here the Canucks go posting wins under a new head coach with a soft schedule, because we saw that story before. But last season, JT Miller looked really good defensively as a shutdown two-way center. And I still wasn't convinced. I said on this program, I'll be honest, I wanted JT Miller to get the soft matchups. I wanted Pettersson, Suter, Bluger to take the tough matchups. I was like, open up JT Miller because he's not good defensively. I will wear cake on my face for that for the rest of the time, because right now, you know, Miller is in the Selke conversation, you know, whether he should be or not. But I do think a lot of it is just Tocchet instilling confidence in JT Miller. And, you know, JT Miller, I got to say, man, this guy's inspired me to be a better father, you know?
There you go.
JT Miller's doing it all on the ice, okay? He's, you know, pushing Connor McDavid around. He's playing good defensive hockey. He's in the right position in his own zone. And again, the numbers might not look great because he's playing against some really, really high-end players. But he's had some remarkable performances defensively so far. Again, doing it all on the ice. And he makes me want to do more around the house, okay? I'm wiping more asses.
Woo!
I'm doing more dishes. I'm folding more laundry. And you know why? It's because of JT Miller.
Is it gross for you to like wipe your baby's butt? I'm like, are you over the gross phase? Is it just normal?
I'm way over it. To be honest, man, I don't get grossed out easily. I won't go in depth for the listeners, but my first job as a 16-year-old, I was a janitor at an old folks home. So you can we won't don't think about it too hard, but there's it could be a messy situation.
Diapers.
So yeah, I don't get
diapers.
grossed up very easily.
I didn't. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, JT Miller. Okay, so you said a lot of things there, and yeah, maybe the numbers don't have him being the Selke favorite, but as a Vancouver Canucks fan, I can't help but not be overly surprised by the fact that this guy might finish in the top 15, the top 12, the top 10, the top 7 in Selke voting, and that's crazy to me, okay? I would never think this guy would be in the top 50, and with all this being said, I was still very excited to see how Miller would do under Tocchet offensively, Like, I wonder if Miller would get back to that 85 to that 90-point pace, because I was looking at what he was doing offensively last year when Tocchet came into the fold, and was looking forward to having that 1-2 punch of Pettersson and Miller. Now, speaking of Pettersson, dude, going into the season, I think we weren't connecting Pettersson winning the Hart or the Art Ross because of McDavid and him winning it for the rest of his career, blah, blah, blah. But we were saying it almost every episode that this guy's going to win the Selke. And Pettersson's not going to win the Selke. He's not going to win the Selke this year. He's not getting the toughest matchup. So he pretty much is disqualified from that effort, IMO. It's just the way it is. And to see it being due in large part / only because of JT Miller being that guy for Rick Tocchet and the Vancouver Canucks, is again just something that I didn't see coming. And I wonder when this decision was made, because Tocchet had Miller for 20 plus games. That was the big enough sample size for him to be like, you know what? Pettersson, maybe he's Datsuk, blah, 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 but JT Miller is going to be the guy that's going to quote unquote, shut down Connor McDavid. Like, I just want to know the conversation, the exact words that were exchanged between those two last year, because it would, like, I feel like you could write a book about it, like some sort of, or like a chapter on leadership and efficiency, and it's really some fascinating stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And don't get me wrong, Tocchet has a massive influence here. Mm-hmm. You know who else has an influence in this, Kyle? And shout out to Durance and Harmon, The Athletic. They reported this, but I noticed it too. Quinn Hughes is playing a lot with JT Miller on the ice, and previously, the Canucks did their best to get Hughes and Pettersson out on the ice together, right? So now we're seeing JT Miller go against the team's best players, along with Quinn Hughes going against the team's best players. And again, I do think that's helping JT Miller a bit defensively. That being said, there's some discrepancy, right? Hughes is playing more than Miller, and Hughes' underlying metrics are sharper than Miller's for sure. But to me, that's the sign of a very good Canucks team and a sign of good things to come, right? You have Miller and Hughes going against the team's best players. Now you have Pettersson, who's got the chance to feast on some weaker competition. And so far, that strategy's worked. It's not what I would have done coming into the season, but that's why I'm sitting down here behind a microphone talking to you, my brother, and not behind the Canucks bench making decisions.
Oh, dude, if that was the case, the Canucks would be 27th in the league right now. Like, for real. We've been wrong on so many fronts when it comes to this version.
We've been right on a few fronts.
No, but I feel like it's been like we've been wrong about 7 things and we've been right about 7 things. And at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter. Like, prove us wrong and just win games and make us happy. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. JT Miller, just, again, a very motivating guy right now. I'm enjoying the fact that he does finish every check. He's just involved. Offensively, he's a dynamo as well. He can do a little bit of everything. And even look at how he scored the, what was it, the 4-2 goal? Or was it the 5-2 goal in Edmonton? Just from the point of blast and went in and out. He just...
5-2, yeah.
He's a really, really good player. And, again, offensively speaking... I was still high on him. I never gave up hope on JT. You did. Trevor Beggs gave up on JT, okay? If you don't know the story, if you don't know the story, I'm paraphrasing. But there was a chance that Trevor's wife was going to pick Justin Timberlake over Trevor, and that's why he hates JTs, okay? That's why he hates JTs, man. You almost gave up on him, man.
Yeah, I will. The only thing I'll say is between the two of us, you've definitely been the bigger JT supporter. I think from week 1 of us doing Locked On Canucks back in March of this year, we had an episode about leaving JT alone because of all the heat he was getting in this market, being in trade rumors. Like, I remember when we kicked off that first week of the show, the hottest rumor is that he was getting traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins. And here we are, 8 months later, and this guy is one of the league leaders in points. We're talking about him in the Selke conversation. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Penguins are floundering near the bottom of the NHL.
Bro, there was rumors.
The turntables, man.
There was rumors that JT Miller was going to get traded on the day his contract kicked in so they could avoid the no movement clause or whatever, all those terms and his details. It's one of those things that I never really understood because JT Miller, yeah, $8 million is a lot of money, and I guess a lot of fans were discouraged by his defensive play and his lack of care for that side of the ice. But the guy, again, offensively speaking, so consistent, and it's hard to find those guys in the NHL. JT Miller, we're very, very lucky to have you. And I know the Canucks have Demko, Hughes, and Pettersson, but you're up there, man. You're playing like you're 91 overall right now, and we're blessed to have you. Thanks for inspiring us. Again, 30 years old, Beggsy and Bhawan, JT Miller changing the course of our lives. Beggsy, who we shouting out before we get to segment number 2 over here on Locked On Canucks?
All right. And, speaking about guys who, have had some things to say about the Vancouver market, we're going to talk about Conor Garland in our second segment. Is he staying? Is he going? Should we ask the offspring? I don't know. It's the Clash. Sorry, my bad. Come on, Trevor, get it together. So Conor Garland talk on the other side. Before we do that, I got to let you know that passion, drive, and patience is what brings home the winning trophy, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts to choose from for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash, baby. With all the parts you need at the prices you want and deserve, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. A new NHL season brings all sorts of possibilities. JT Miller could score 50 goals. The Canucks could hoist the Stanley Cup. And you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is my number one choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you have to do is pick whether studs like JT Miller, Conor Garland, or Mark Freeman will record more or less in their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more in a given game. To win a 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Canucks fans. You could win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability.
Okay, you're back on another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Kyle Bhawan. That right there is Trevor Beggs. More importantly, though, this is the show that gives you your Canucks every day. Hit the like and subscribe button if you are enjoying what you're seeing or what you're listening to. And man, oh man, if you didn't enjoy it, don't do that. Okay? Don't like the show. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to us. Don't lie to the world. Save the world with one less lie at a time. Also, shout out to everyone listening to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and wherever you're listening to this on your favorite podcatching platform. Beggsy, one more thing on JT Miller, okay? Again, the 30-year-old. I gotta give it out to the 30-year-olds out there, okay? It's a new life when you hit 30. Beggsy, am I correct? It's different out here.
Yeah, it's funny. My wife was telling me something about this yesterday. She saw something on TikTok or Instagram. Pete Davidson was on the Jimmy Kimmel show, and I guess he just turned 30. And he was saying, like, as a 29-year-old, if you're like make a mistake or I don't know, you're drunk in public or whatever, it's like he's just in his 20s. He's just young, living life. As soon as you're 30, you get judged for that, man. You get judged.
Dude.
So yeah, being 30 is a bit different, man.
It's different, man. And I've been waking up earlier the last 3 days to produce this show, and I don't know. Being 30 and waking up at 6 a.m., you just feel, I don't know if responsible is the right word, but I think I'd rather use powerful. Speaking of powerful, JT Miller, super intense player, and maybe Taka told him something. Maybe he wants to be, Taka wants him to be a better two-way player. Maybe they had a conversation and all that jazz. Or maybe JT Miller just is like Quinn Hughes and Pettersson and is just taking it on himself. Like, if this team's going to change its course, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And if that's what you need to do when you play hockey and you have the talent level like JT Miller, whatever it takes means producing offense and making sure you're in position defensively. And he's doing it all. Again, just pay attention to his game tomorrow. This guy does not miss a check. He's not the heaviest player. He's not laying the boom every single shift, but he's doing his most to provide physical impact, shift in and shift out. And I got to applaud that because I haven't seen a lot of that from any top 6 Vancouver Canuck player in like a long time, you know, like just consistently every single shift, this guy's laying the body, and I appreciate that. Another guy I appreciate too is Conor Garland, and he's been a little bit all over the place when it comes to having a consistent relationship with the Canucks fans. And earlier this season or in the preseason, word comes out that he wants out, you know, wants a bigger role on another team. And now we're hearing from Darren Dreger, I think. I don't know if I saw it correct. Maybe it was someone else that he's lightening his tone, and maybe he wants to stay and ride this thing out with one of the best teams in hockey.
Yeah, no, you heard it right. Darren Dreger's TSN reporting that Conor Garland, again, is more open to staying with the Vancouver Canucks. And, you know, again, the vibes entering the season were kind of poor. And we talked about it here on Locked On Canucks. Every dayers know it was Elliot Friedman's fault, you know, reporting within a couple of days that Pettersson didn't want to sign long-term. The Canucks wanted to wait on Pettersson, and Conor Garland wanted to leave. Oh, and we were playing the Edmonton Oilers, who were a Stanley Cup favorite at the time. So the vibes to start the season weren't great, but look where we are now, Kyle. The
That's
Canucks
crazy.
9-2-1, the third best team in the NHL. Pettersson's now second in the league in points. Play that music, that happy hour music. By the way, if you missed our happy hour episode, it's something we want to drop when the Canucks are losing games and we need a bit of a bump, right? So we had that happy hour episode, and guess what, Canucks Nation? The Canucks are 7-0-1 since we dropped the happy hour episode. Let's go, baby. And I think Conor Garland's probably feeling pretty happy right now, too. Despite the fact that he's not really picking up points, he's got 3 points in 12 games, which for a guy making his money is not great, but he's making an impact at both ends of the ice. And he's not picking up points right now as much with, you know, Dakota Joshua, Pius Suter have combined for a couple goals recently. But Conor Garland's helping drive play. Like, if you look at the Canuck players this season, you know, possession-wise, there's not a lot of guys who are over 50% in terms of their Corsi. The only forwards who are over 50% are Pettersson, Kuzmenko, and Conor Garland, who leads all Canucks forwards with a 55.6% Corsi 4 rating. I think he's helped that third line out with Suter and Joshua since he's dropped down to that line. And obviously with Pettersson and Kuzmenko, wasn't hurting them either. So, you know, Conor Garland, even though he's not putting up points, I often notice him in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's shifty. He's making the right plays when the puck's on his stick. And right now, it's to me, it's not a surprise he's not traded, because why would you retain salary on this guy? I get that you want to shuffle the deck, but you know, you do have some money coming off the books at the end of the season. And as long as this guy keeps making an impact, unless the right deal is really there, you hold on to this guy, because there's no point selling him for pennies on the dollar. And we've said that time and time again here on Locked On Canucks.
Yeah, there's no point. And if you're Aquilini, you're not doing that anymore, man. You're just not doing that. You're not paying millions of dollars for a dude that's not playing hockey on your team. And Garland has, again, you said everything that I want to say in smarter terms. He's just impactful. He's not looking bad out there, and he's looking involved. He's looking like he wants to make things happen, and all in all, not being discouraged. And if you put everything into account and then you throw in the fact that, again, he requested a trade, you're looking at a true professional. Like a real professional. This season has been so surprising, bro. You brought it up earlier too, man. How did this happen? Look at how the season started. Elliot Friedman was trying to take us down by himself. He's trying to lay the curse down. You know the curse that the Ottawa Senators have right now? He was trying to do that to us. Garland was a big part of that. And Conor Garland, being a true pro, playing hockey, and I think overall just understanding that there's an opportunity here to do something special. And that's having fun playing hockey in front of Vancouver Canucks fans. And as much as I'm not surprised that he's kind of rescinded his trade request, it's just a testament to the feeling in that room. It must be.
Yeah, 100%. And I do think the vibes are great right now in Vancouver. They're immaculate. There's really not much to pick apart with this team. We might do that on a later episode, but we ain't doing that today here on Locked On Canucks. Again, Conor Garland, might not be putting up points, but when the Canucks are on the ice, they're not getting scored on. He's been on the ice for 6 goals for, 2 goals against. Over the last 8 games, he's been on the ice for 4 goals for and 0 goals against at even strength. Conor Garland, I think he's underrated defensively just because he's a smaller player, but he's making things happen out there. Speaking of guys who are making things happen, I'm going to shout out a former Canuck in our segment called the Cam Neely Former Canuck of the Week. And I also might poo-poo all over a rival at the same time as me shouting out a former Vancouver Canuck. Before I do that, I got to let you know it's time to score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. I'm going to say it again. I said it in yesterday's ad read. The Canucks are tied for the 16th highest odds of winning the Stanley Cup according to FanDuel at plus 4,000. That's a mad disrespect to the West Coast, and that's why here on Locked On Canucks, we're always going to have that West Coast bias. So whether you're feeling like you want to sprinkle a little money on the Canucks Stanley Cup odds or bet on the NFL, make sure you do so on FanDuel. The app, it's so damn easy to use, okay? There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, overs, unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Okay. We back, baby, on Locked On Canucks. My name Kyle Bhawan. That right there is Trevor Beggs. Again, more importantly, though, this is the show that gives you your Canucks every day. Beggsy, man, I'm about to ask you a very important question. You got to answer it quickly. If you're listening to this, you got to make sure that you ask your friends this question too, okay? Beggsy, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, brother. Despite barely sleeping last night, man. My poor son, his 4-month shots or something's going on, man. He was up like from pretty much midnight onwards, man. So I'm running on fumes, but what gets me juiced up is talking to you, Kyle, and talking to you, the listener, about these Vancouver Canucks. It's always fun, but it's especially fun right now.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. And what happens? So, like, let's say you're helping your son out, like you're letting your wife go to sleep while your son's crying. Like, does your wife, like pop in her headphones, or like how does she get sleep while the baby's screaming? Because there's nothing more annoying than a baby screaming.
Oh, 100%. I'll say, like, once he's in my arms or Hannah's arms, he's usually not screaming. He might kind of like squirm and moan a bit, but
Okay.
he's usually not screaming. So sometimes I'll rock him in the bedroom if he's calm, and if he's not calm, I'll kind of go and walk around the house and rock him. I actually fell asleep with him in my arms on a chair last night for about a half an hour.
Oh, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah, you just do what you can, man. Parent life,
I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. I'm so happy for you. And even though you seem a little tired today, you also seem very loved. Before you get to former Canuck of the Week, I also want to just ask you a question about the identity of the bottom six forward group. And Garland, we just talked about him, a big part of that. I think just adding a player like that down there who's, again, being a professional, throwing his ego to the side and just doing his most is doing a lot for a guy like Höglander, maybe doing a lot for a guy like Beauvillier. I don't know if it's doing a lot for a guy like Lafferty. He just seems like the guy who brings it every shift. But just overall, like, what type of bottom six are you seeing the Canucks form right now?
Man, oh man, I almost think this is a segment for an episode later this week here on Locked On Canucks, but I love the chemistry right now. I love the mix, and it really makes me think about where Teddy Blueger fits. Because I just don't know who you take out of the lineup. But let's table that and save it for another day. I mean, my short answer is I love the chemistry right now with the Vancouver Canucks. You know, a team that's lacking chemistry, the Edmonton Oilers. So I'm going to shout out a former Canuck of the Week, the Cam Neely Former Canuck of the Week, while poo-pooing on the Edmonton Oilers at the same time.
I don't want to say goodbye.
Cam Neely Former Canuck of the Week for this week is 34-year-old legend Sam Gagner, okay? You thought this guy was retired. You thought this guy was done. Well, guess what? He's back with the team who drafted him in the first place. And you know what, man? He's putting up some points right now. He's played 3 games so far. He has 2 goals, 1 assist. One of those assists came against the Vancouver Canucks the other night. Again, 3 points in 3 games for a guy who hadn't played hockey in a good stretch of time. He missed the latter half of last season after kind of exiting with injury from the Winnipeg Jets. His last game was February of last year. Signs with the Edmonton Oilers late, into the regular season, and now he's playing, somewhat in their top six. He started on a line with Kane and Nugent Hopkins, but he kind of got elevated to the Draisaitl line with a guy called James Hamblin. Like, what the hell is going on with the Edmonton Oilers, man? Leon Draisaitl was playing with 34-year-old Sam Gagner. I know he's our Cam Neely Former Canuck of the week, but again, the Edmonton Oilers are supposed to be competing for a Stanley Cup, and Leon Draisaitl is playing with Sam Gagner and James Hamblin. What is going on? I also got to say, for more Edmonton Oilers hate, we had some fun on yesterday's show, poo-pooing all over those Edmonton Oilers. Move those shoulders, Kyle. Let's go. Yeah, the Edmonton Oilers, guess what? They freaking suck. Okay, and it's all the Vancouver Canucks' fault, and you can also blame the schedule makers too. But anyways, we're having a lot of fun here on Locked On Canucks so far this season. Kyle, you got any thoughts on Sam Gagner or how much the Oilers suck before we get out of here?
I forgot that Sam Gagner played for us, but he played on a line with, if I'm correct, like Brock Besser and Thomas Vanek or something. I don't even know. Am I right on that, or like what? Who was the third guy on that line? Does it matter, man? Screw the Oilers, man. No. Screw the Oilers. But if you want to touch on the Sam Gagner thing just a little bit, I'm just going to be encouraged by the fact that this guy's a 30-plus-year-old. And, bro, I'm trying to look up to those guys right now, man. For real. Get another gear in life. I think we're living in an era, and I think we've actually, as a society, always lived in this type of era where, like, older people are forgotten about. It's always about think about the children, think about the younger generation, right? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, I'm not forgetting about old people, man. Old people, human beings, all in all, so powerful, full of potential. And I know you know that as well, because you have the ultimate respect for old people since you literally were wiping their asses back when you were like 17 years old. Is that even allowed? Is that even legal? Beggsy, anyways,
yeah. Let me get that straight for 1 second. I was a janitor. I wasn't a carrot. I wasn't wiping ass.
Okay, man. Another episode of Locked On Canucks. Your Canucks every day. Provided over here. Hit the like button and subscribe button if you did enjoy the episode. Again, if you didn't, you don't have to do all those things. Stop lying to yourself. Save the world with one less lie at a time. One left to Beggsy, Father of the Year. Actually, my dad's better than Beggsy, but you know what I'm saying. Trevor, sign us out.
All right. Well, I might not be wiping ass, but guess what? The Edmonton Oilers are wiping ass, baby. I got to say it one more time. The Oilers suck, and life is good as a Vancouver Canucks fan. Coming up later this week on the show, we're going to preview the Canucks Eastern Road Swing. Guess what? They might even be Canada's team. They might be Canada's best chance at bringing back a Stanley Cup. So we're having some fun here on Locked On Canucks. We might also touch on the Canucks reportedly looking for another defenseman. Who might that be? You got to stay tuned to the network to find out. But for now, I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bhawan. And you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.